Hi, it's Brett, and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about a couple things. I had some book mail that I had received recently that I wanted to go over. Also, the National Book Critics Circle finalists have been announced, and I want to talk about those as well. So stick around. First off, um, how is everybody doing? Uh, I it's weird because I have been reading and have been reading and trying not to uh be online too much because everything, especially in the US right now, seems like such just in the last 72 hours seems like such an incredible disaster, and it's uh, so outrageous. Thank God for books. Thank God for books. So anyway, I think this is going to be a very weird time, and it's going to be a time of vigilance and speaking up and speaking to truth. And uh, so, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to say over the coming months and years. Anyway, all right. So, what I'm currently reading, as I said in my last video, I'm having a really interesting and good month with some really terrific reads, some great debuts. I've had already recorded with some wonderful guests for the Behind the Stack podcast. I have some really great guests lined up. One I found out today, and I'm really excited for because I absolutely loved her latest book. In the meantime, let me tell you what I'm reading right now. The first is A Sky Full of Elephants by Sibo Campbell. This is one of the books that's on the Aspen Words long list, and I'm about 50 pages into it, and I'm liking it. I think if you get over the idea of what the book is about, which is basically all white people have died, like walked into the ocean or walked into water, and all that's left is, well, everybody else. And it centers on one man who is estranged from his daughter, who kind of comes back together with his daughter. So I am liking it. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm not like, wow, this is the most amazing thing ever, but of course, again, I'm not far enough into it to really have for it to have had such an impact yet, but curious to see where this goes. All right, and the other thing, which I'm kind of taking my time through, is coming out February 4th. Uh, which is Sarah Shahea's Bibliophobia, a memoir. This is nonfiction, can probably be classified as lit crit, but it's a really interesting book, which for anyone who's an avid reader, I think you're going to want to pick this up. And it really ponders the question of, what books for you that really made you think, that really made you think differently about a variety of things. It kind of stops your world. And so for her, it's an examination of a series of books that did that for her while also wrestling with her own depression. Really interesting. Like I said, I'm really taking my, it's not a very long book. I'm just taking my time through it because, as you can see, I've marked it up already because it's just great. And so I would highly recommend for any and all readers out there. All right, so those are the two things that I'm in the middle of now. So the thing that I would like to kind of get to this weekend, if I can, at least to start, I've had it and it's just calling to me, is Playworld by Adam Ross. This came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. I'd never read anything by Adam Ross before. I heard the premise of this novel, which is set in the 80s during the start of the Reagan administration, about a young child actor who's like 14 years old who gets involved with an older woman, and I mean like in her 30s, but also kind of his trajectory and growing up. So it's a coming of age novel, but the whole idea of it sounds something that I think I said this before, that John Irving would have written, which I don't know why, but and I've been following Adam Ross on Instagram. I think he's a really interesting guy. He's also the editor in chief for the Swanee Review. But so I'm hoping it's a big book, and I feel like this is just something to sink yourself into, and I'm really looking forward to it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the National Book Critics Circle finalists. And again, I'm not gonna go over all of these, but I will talk about the a couple things that I want to just point out. One is in the criticism category, Hanif Abdurraqib's There's Always This Year on Basketball and Ascension is one of the finalists, and I've talked about this book before. It's so amazing. And if you've never read Hanif, please do. He's just brilliant. And so anyway, I'm really excited about that. The other thing that's in nonfiction that I have in my queue to listen to or to read is Adam Higginbotham's Challenger, the true story of the heroism and disaster on the edge of space, about the Challenger disaster. So many people, I don't know why, I kind of missed this when it came out, and then I started to see it pop up places, and I'm just really, it's supposed to be amazing. So I'm really interested in that one. Um, in terms of the fiction front, um, I've already read Hisham Mader's My Friends and Percival Everett's James. The other ones, Marie Helene Bertino's Beautyland, I'm really that was one of those books that I really wanted to get to at the end of last year and just didn't get to it. So I'm absolutely going to read that one. I've also heard great things about Joseph O'Neill's Godwin, so I want to try that out. And Norlang, Us Fools, I know nothing about and haven't seen this anywhere. So again, kind of interested in that. I don't know that I'm going to read them all before this is announced. My focus right now in terms of book lists are the remaining books that I still have to read from the Aspen Words long list before their short list is announced, and I have those lined up. So I'm trying to read probably like two of those a month, which again is what the Sibo Campbell one was. All right, so that is that. Now on to book mail. Um, Not a big stack, but some interesting things. This is coming out February 4th, and thank you to Dutton for the copy of this. It's called This is a Love Story by Jessica Sofer. Um, and I'm going to read you the description. And I don't know, I immediately was like, this reminds me of, it could be like a movie from the 90s, but I'm so in for it. For 50 years, Abe and Jane have been coming to Central Park as starry eyed young lovers, as frustrated and exhausted parents, as artists watching their careers take flight. They came alone when they needed to get away from each other, and together when they had something important to discuss. The park has been their witness for half a century of love until now. Jane is dying, and Abe is recounting their life together as a way of keeping them going. The parts they knew, their courtship and early marriage, their blossoming creative lives, and the parts they didn't always want to know. The determined young student of Abe's looking for a love story of her own, and their son Max, who believes his mother chose art over parenthood and who's avoided love and intimacy at all costs. Told from various points of view, even in conversation with Central Park itself, these voices weave in and out to paint a portrait as complicated and essential as love itself. An homage to New York City, to romance, and even to loss, This is a Love Story tenderly and suspensefully captures deep truths about life and marriage in radiant prose. It's about love that endures despite what life throws at us, or perhaps even because of it. Sounds good, right? All right, so that's one thing. All right, and then I had pre-ordered this, um, Death of the Author by Nanendia Okorafor. And first of all, this is like this Barnes& and Noble limited edition, which beautiful inside, but like check this out as well. Like I thought, how cool is that? Um, And this is and this exhilarating tale by New York Times bestselling and award-winning author Nnedi Okorafor, a disabled Nigerian American woman, pens a wildly successful sci-fi novel, but as her fame rises, she loses control of the narrative, a surprisingly cutting yet heartfelt drama about art and love, identity and connection, and ultimately what makes us human. This is a story unlike anything you've read before. So excited about this and just beautiful. Then I got Faber Books, and thank you for these, sent me, they're releasing new illustrated versions of E.M. Forster's classics, A Room with a View and Morris. I mean, first of all, they're just so incredibly beautiful. Of course, this is one of my favorite books. I've never actually read A Room with a View, so but these look like perfect gift books. Like buy the set. Interestingly, when I opened Morris, there's a note in the front of the book that says, "Content warning: This edition is the original text from 1971. It may contain language that is offensive to modern readers." So I was like, "Huh, interesting. I don't know what that is, but maybe I'll read it and let you know what's going to offend our delicate ears." So anyway, thank you again to Faber for these. Then I'm seeing this book all over, at least Bookstagram, which is Elizabeth Harris's How to Sleep at Night, a witty and whip smart novel about love, marriage, and family ties stretched thin by ambition. I think it's two different couples. One is a gay couple who, the one end of them um, wants to run for Congress as a Republican. Then in the other part of this is a heterosexual couple that seems to have an open relationship, and a woman from the woman in the relationship from her past shows up and kind of sends her into a tailspin. So it sounds kind of intriguing. Intriguing. All right, and then I got this book, which was the Barnes and Noble pick for young adults for I think December, which is Don't Let the Forest In, and I desperately tried to get their special edition, which had a green edging. It was beautiful, but it's gone out of print. But it says high school senior Andrew Perot finds refuge in the twisted fairy tales that he writes for the only person who can ground him to reality, Thomas Rye, the boy with perpetually ink-stained hands and hair like autumn leaves, and with his twin sister Dove inexplicably keeping him at a cold distance upon the return to Wickwood Academy. Andrew finds himself leaning on his friends even more. But something strange is going on with Thomas. His abusive parents have mysteriously vanished, and he arrives at the school with blood on his sleeve. Thomas won't say a word about it and shuts down whenever Andrew tries to ask him questions. Stranger still, Thomas is haunted by something and he seems to have lost interest in his artwork. Whimsically macabre sketches of the monsters from Andrew's wicked story. Desperate to figure out what's wrong with his friend, Andrew follows Thomas into the off limits forest one night and catches him fighting a nightmarish monster. Thomas's drawings have come to life and are killing anyone close to him. To make sure no one else dies, the boys battle the monsters every night. But as their obsession with each other grows stronger, so do the monsters, and Andrew begins to feel that the only way to stop the creature might be to destroy the creator. Anyway, I love this cover. So yeah, a little young adult action. And then Question 7 by Richard Flanagan. Hardly saw this anywhere, but a few places it cropped up at the end of the year. I don't know how this kind of slipped out, but this is a nonfiction book, and I can't even begin to explain it, so I'd rather just read you this. Beginning at a love hotel by Japan's inland sea and ending by a river in Tasmania, question 7 is about the choices we make about love and the chain reaction that follows. By way of H.G. Wells and Rebecca West's affair, through 1930s nuclear physics, to Flanagan's father working as a slave laborer near Hiroshima when the atom bomb is dropped. This daisy chain of events reaches fission when Flanagan, as a young man, finds himself trapped in a rapid on a wild river, not knowing if he's going to live or die. At once a love song to his island home and to his parents, this hypnotic melding of dream, history, science, and memory is about how our lives so often arise out of the stories of others and the stories we invent about ourselves. So, I think it sounds incredibly interesting. And he does live in Tasmania. Okay. And then the last book that I wanted to showcase today is Help Wanted by Adele Waldman. This is another 2024 release that kind of slipped by me. Um, it is an eye opening tale of work in contemporary America. Um, Basically, it's set in a big box chain in New York, and the workers who are there, I think, a la Amazon, um, talking about the American labor force, which seems very timely with this oligarchy we're in now. And now I've bookended our whole conversation. Um, so that's it. Some interesting books, I think. Maybe you do too. Let me know what you think. Next week, I will be coming back with my wrap up of January, as well as I will have another episode of Behind the Stack on Tuesday with author Kristen Covell, her new book, Penitence, which is really terrific, which is coming out on Tuesday. So look for that. Um, and yeah, so I hope everyone is well. I hope if you're in the States, you are, whether you're in the South in snow or in the West with fire, that you are staying safe and you're staying warm. And I will see you all